Right. Hey, everyone, I'm Klloo. So, to my surprise at least, right? I'm sure some people weren't expecting this either. We have the product announcement, product article, right, for the Mastery Pack Guardian and Smash Palace. So, essentially, High Seas kicks off mid next week, end of next week. Then we have the world premiere, then we have the actual release of High Seas. So, that's going to occupy the rest of the month, right, to the next month as well. So to get Smash Palace and Mastery Pack Guardian, at least, some level of information, is beautiful to see. So let's dive in, right? First one that is a bit of a curiosity to me is the release date. I can't remember if it was announced when they were initially announced, but we have the Mastery Pack Guardian releasing the start of August, August 8th, and then the Smash Palace releasing at the end of August, I guess, to try and prolong interest in the Mastery Packs, but that also means that most likely the celebration events for Mastery Pack Guardian is not going to have, some UPF flavor to it. It's just going to be Velda, Blitz, right? So, yeah, that will be interesting. Available languages, English, French, and Japanese for the Mastery Pack, and then Smash Palace will only be English, but remember, the majority of European languages were converted over to English, so it's still hitting all the main markets, just not the new, Japanese market that has been set up, right? Then cards in set, 130 for the Mastery Pack and 34 for Smash Palace. Price-wise, right? $55 roughly, USD, for Mastery Pack, and then tack on an extra 15 to get yourself your Smash Palace, and I think that is a very, very reasonable price difference. Now, when it comes to our Mastery Pack Guardian, the question is, where will it slot in? So, it is designed for crack shuffle play as well as constructed format. So we have basically somewhere between Smash Palace and UPF fun to obviously just a standard set like the Hunted. Now, we have cards that make up, again, that difference, so something like the Smelting of the Old Ones, which is a rare, but also a marvel in the set, is specifically for Guardian interactions, therefore not necessarily something you will be taking for actual constructed events. So on the other side of that, we have our Testament of Valahai, right, which is definitely a nice looking shield and a bit more for the constructed side. So overall, right, I'm hoping it's bang smack in the middle, and we do get a decent plethora of cards, mainly obviously most likely the Majestics and the Legendaries for constructed play, and then all the rares and commons and the stuff you're going to get, a ton of when you open Crack Shuffle Play or you play UPF with Smash Palace are there specifically for the Guardian v Guardian interaction. So hopefully, again, they strike that perfect balance right down the middle. Now, in terms of comparing it to an actual proper set like the Hunted, right? So it is roughly just half the size of a current set. So 265 cards for the Hunted, 130 cards for the Mastery Pack, 16 cards per pack, 13 cards per pack, but more importantly, it's the breakdown of the Legendaries and the Majestics are a bit more relevant. So there are 3 Legendaries in the Mastery Pack Guardian versus the 6 in the Hunted, or 5 if you exclude the Command and Conquer, since that was an expansion slot, which I'm going to do for the Majestics as well, since that makes them a lot more comparable. So 16 Majestics in the Mastery Pack Guardian versus 27 Majestics in the Hunted. Again, just in the purview of limited cards, right? So that is majorly what you're going to open. Now, in terms of a price perspective, right? So the Hunted works out to be $4.99 USD using the MSRP for 16 cards, and then the Mastery Pack Guardian is $4.58, right? So a little bit cheaper, but 13 cards. So overall, it is slightly cheaper. Again, technically speaking, right? If it's mono, you should only have to open half as much as Mastery Pack Guardian to get the same fulfillment as the Hunted. So that brings up the question of, well, pull rates, right? So if they strike it exactly the same as all the other sets that we have to date, right? So the Hunted, Legendaries are 1 in 96. Again, that's probably the compounded rate of Cold Foils and Rainbow Foils, with Rainbow Foils being a little bit more common. Majestics, 1 in 5.9. Again, limited Majestics, since that's what we can compare. There is no expansion slot in the Mastery Pack Guardian. You get 1.83 rares per pack. Now, you only get 1 rare in every pack, and that rare can then also be upshifted to a Majestic in the Mastery Pack Guardian. So all I've done is take out the extra rare, so 0.83 rares per pack, and then that little slight difference is where we get the Majestic. Commons, 11 per pack versus 9 per pack, packs per count. So what I mean by this is how many packs would you have to open to essentially get an equivalent count of X rarity to the total number of that rarity. So for instance, for Legendaries, there are 3 Legendaries in our Mastery Pack Guardian, and I'm using, again, 5 for the Hunted. I'm excluding the Command and Conquer. So it'll take 480 packs to get, hopefully, 5 Legendaries for the Hunted, hopefully non-repeating too. So in that sense, the Mastery Pack Guardian would only take 288 if, again, we're using these equivalent pull rates. So if they do stick with the current pull rates, right, that means that our Mastery Pack Guardian is half the set size, half the amount of packs in a box, but that's fine because case-wise it's still equivalent, and then half the amount of product needed to be opened to, again, make the equivalent amount of cards available in the secondary market, again, on the sense of a community basis as something like the Hunted. So this is a very nice comparison, right? So total cases for the Hunted to, again, find your legendaries, find your majestics, find your rares, 5 cases, so every 5 cases that the community opens should supply 1 copy of each of those rarities for everyone to pick apart, right? Similarly, Mastery Pack Guardian would only take 3 cases, meaning that spending-wise, the habits would be down, and I don't necessarily know if that's what LSS would strive for, right? I would expect them to tweak the numbers to try and potentially keep it in line with a stand set, so again, going on that perspective of how many cases do I have to open to find everything versus what the actual rarities are. So if they were to actually decrease the pull rates in the Mastery Pack Guardian, it looks something more like this, right? So in order for us to get to that equivalent of 5 cases open for the Mastery Pack Guardian to complete, again, sets, right, versus the Hunted, it means that the Legendaries would have to appear at 1 in 160 packs, right? Majestics 1 in 9.9 packs, meaning you're getting 1 to 2 per box, right? Rares would only get slightly boosted to 0.89, commons stay the same, but overall, I would expect LSS to strike some sort of middle ground between these two numbers, right? I doubt they just go 1 for 1 with, again, the current set rates because it just incentivizes less opening overall, and the set size is what is meant to do that, right? Not necessarily the pull rates. So while I would, again, love to see it reined in and kept in check, right? Again, make it easier to access, make it easier for people to open everything they could possibly want to open. I can see them tweaking the rarities, right? We're still going to have the divide, right? We'll have marvels, we'll have cold foils, we'll have the rainbow foils of the legendaries. So potentially, right, they make the rainbow foils a lot more accessible, but they keep the chase value there, right? Because I know some of the marvels are not going to be that desirable. Even if they look nice, they are still just cards that won't necessarily see play. So like the Seismic Surge marvels, I think will be probably the sought after marvels, whereas the disenchantments or the old one cards, right, won't actually be that substantial. So overall, I'm very interested to see where they do strike that balance. Again, if we just go off the pull rates of current sets, then your spending habits, right, should be halved. And that makes sense since it is a smaller set. But, you know, there has to be something else to carry the product. And while initially I would have thought Smash Palace would have been the perfect way to do that, again, it's releasing at the end of the month versus the start of the month. So it's more just bring you back in to maybe pick up another box so that you can have a repeat to play Smash Palace in the crack shuffle play sense. Now, in terms of our Smash Palace, so again, price-wise, you get equivalent to a Mastery box. So you get your 12 packs, but then for $15 extra, you're getting a 40-card event deck, 6 heroes, 12 gold/seismic surge card tokens, rule booklet, a Smash Palace rules insert. But then the ones I think that definitely stand out, you get two-player game arenas, right? So this is going to be full-scale mats, although I assume they're not, you know, rubber mats. They will be similar to the inserts of the classic battles. And then punch-out tokens. So 12 seismic surge tokens, 12 resource tokens, 12 power tokens, 12 gold, which is kind of interesting considering they've made the gold seismic surge token cards flip, right? 8 -1 defense, 2 crushed and 2 dominate, which overall they're just fantastic pickups that you can use. Again, outside of just Smash Palace, the resource counters, the power counters, the defense counters are all something that you can definitely carry on and, you know, use in proper matches. So that is lovely to see that we're finally getting those types of products from LSS directly, because there's some really good ones, especially metal tokens floating around on the market. But again, Smash Palace is designed for our crack shuffle play and UPF, whereas our Mastery Pack Guardian is designed for classic constructed and our crack shuffle play. So the crack shuffle play is the overlap. But overall, I think price-wise, that's pretty fantastic. Again, picking up Smash Palace, even if you just want the inserts and still packs open, you're paying $15 for the inserts, right? And then you're still getting the equivalent packs to a box of our Mastery Pack Guardian. Now, 34 cards make up the set of our Smash Palace. We know it's a 40-card event deck. We know that 6 heroes and 2 tokens, gold, and the flip side, Seismic Surge. So, generally speaking, this means that the event deck is going to have repeats, right? So, we can take out the 6, we can take out the 2, leaving definitely some of our event cards to have 2 ofs, maybe even 3 ofs, depending on what they are, right? I'd assume we get some, you know, commons or rares, because they do have rarities in multiple numbers, and the Majestics are a bit more flavorful, so they'll probably be singles. And again, it's its own sort of spin on the game, so we'll have to directly see what events launch from that. But yeah, just being able to offer a variety of events, right, through your LGS, through your community, is always nice to see. As for the heroes, we do have possibly the full lineup. I say possibly. So 5 in total have been revealed for our Smash Palace. So joining our 2 original showcased heroes, our Fight Master Cogs and our Groundbreaker Crix, we have Rhea the Unyielding, Victor Goldmane, Match Fixer, and Bofa Bare Hands, right? I feel like it should have been these hands. It's obviously, a pun. A lot of the hero names apparently now, what we're getting are puns, but it is what it is, right? So all these are UPF heroes, right? They're pit fighters, so they're not applicable to Blitz, and they're obviously not applicable to Classic Constructed. But joining them, right, we'd expect our Bravo, the Flattering Showman, and then Valda Bright Axe you'll find in the actual packs. It'll most likely be an alternative art with the updated text to match her adult version. So yeah, overall the products are looking definitely nice, right? Definitely something to look forward to. Even if again you're not there to play UPF, picking up the Smash Palace is still seems decent. Again, you don't have to touch the event deck. You can just take all the tokens, right? Maybe backlog the heroes, mess around with them, kitchen table blitz if you want to have trial and error and some of that fun. But again, $15 for the punch out tokens and everything. It does seem kind of nice. I'm hoping they are decent quality. I don't expect metal, but I hopefully hope they're not just cardboard. They are plastic or acrylic, right? But we'll have to see. So yeah, overall, nice little announcements of the new products, right? And how they fit together and what we can sort of expect out of our Mastery Pack Guardian. So again, I'm hoping everything just toes that middle line. It's bang smack in the middle, right? All the commons and rares are more geared towards UPF, or again, Valda v Valda. And then the more chase stuff, the legendaries, the majestics, for our Classic Constructed, or again, Blitz, depending on what reforms come. Because that's the other downside, right? Regardless of pull rates or anything like that, if there are some majestics that are solely there for, again, UPF flavorfulness, then the value of the actual playable ones is going to just absorb up the box price, right? So yeah, I do definitely want to see confirmation of what the actual pull rates will be. But again, anywhere between matching current sets to matching how much you have to open of current sets, I think is fine. If they are drastically changed, it gets a little bit rough. But I would expect, with the total Majestic count being 16, probably around 2 to 3, right? Which means that we're still basically matching the current set pull rates for Majestics. It's just you're getting 12 packs a box instead of 24. Although again, if you're picking up cases, it's still 8 boxes instead of 4 for a normal set. So it still works out to the total number of packs per case, right? Anyway, let me know what you think. And yeah, we'll dive into the spoilers in the next one. Hope you enjoyed. See ya.